Good afternoon and welcome to the Return Homestead. My name is Mike and my wife Marty and I have until recently been homesteading 50 acres in southeastern Kentucky, but that's all about to change. We do want to apologize again for the lack of videos. There really hasn't been any time for making videos lately. So far, we've given you kind of a brief sketch of some of the complications that have arisen since we decided to sell the property. Of course, we're selling the property because we want to get onto a better property. We're looking for a property that we can manage long term. So when we're in our 80s and 90s, we still want to be able to raise sheep and cattle. We want to be able to take care of the chickens and also have a fully functioning garden that's able to feed us. And the only way that's going to happen is if we get to another property. This one's just too vertical and we're not going to be able to manage it for much longer. So we got that process started maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and we've been on a whirlwind ever since. We have managed to get a few things corrected in the process, so we're now on target and on track to hopefully be able to sell this property within the next week and also sign a contract on the new property that we're buying. Things are starting to mellow out a little bit, and it looks like everything is finally going to come to fruition here probably sometime around the end of next week. In the meantime, we've still got a lot of packing to do. At least we're finished with the remodel. We had some more plans down there. There was an island we were going to build for the kitchen and a few other items we were going to take care of, but we're just out of time, and so we're going to go ahead and sell it as is. But it's completely ready for the next homeowner that's going to be moving in, so at least we've taken that off of our plate. We've added a lot of other confusion around the sale and purchase that we've been dealing with in those hours when I'm not at work. But we've still got all of the homesteading chores that have to be taken care of too. We can't just stop taking care of the chickens because we're busy doing something else. Unlike other types of work where you can set a job aside for a few weeks, maybe even take a little vacation time and then get back to your job after you've managed the move, this is very different. Homesteading continues 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of any other complications you have going on in your life. We love eating the eggs that we get from the chickens, and we do eat somewhere between 8 and 12 eggs every day, and we sometimes add extra in there as well. So it's important to us that we maintain that flow of the eggs, which means I've got to be out here feeding the chickens twice a day. I make sure they get water twice a day, and then we run feed into them at the end of the day so they have a full crop going into the coop. And that's what we're up to today. I just got to get these chickens fed. Now, just to distract the big hens and keep them busy while I'm getting the feed up into the run for them, we throw a little bit of corn out in the yard. And that's going to keep them busy eating this up while I go manage getting their water in and getting some feed into them. So many times a day I have to make this trek up this hill in order to take care of the chickens. I've only got 2 hands, so right now I'm making my way up here to get feed into the chickens. So got a feed bucket and an egg basket with me so we can collect eggs while we're up here. And coming in the door, I noticed the chickens have finished off their water. So they had a full water bottle this morning and they drank all that water. So we're going to have to top them off so they'll have water this evening. One of our very first projects here on the homestead was to build these J-tubes. That's just PVC pipe and just some simple fittings. And we designed the J-tubes so that they would fit up underneath the coop. That's going to keep all the water out and allow the chickens to still access this. We can fill the tube up with feed so they can actually feed for a couple of days on what we put in here. And then of course we've got caps on top and bottom so we can lock everybody out and also keep the rain and dirt and other things from getting in the top of the tube. And then I built this little fill bottle, and that's again just some PVC scrap and a cap, and that makes the perfect bottle for filling these things up because it holds exactly the right amount of food to fit it right down inside. It only takes a couple of these to fill the tubes up completely. We're not going to fill these all the way. I usually only put enough food in there for one day. That way I don't lose any to raccoons or possums that manage to find their way up into the run here. Put the caps back on these. And then the food that's left over in the bucket goes over to the noisy silkies next door. I'll just grab this water on the way out. So we'll need to get water up to them as well. Hello, little fuzzies. Come on, careful, stay inside. Thank you. These guys are really camera shy, but they love eating time. Now their tubes will still have feed in it. They never eat all of their feed, but they always get excited when I show up to feed them. What's happening? There you go. Who'd have thought chickens would be camera shy? All this squawking they're doing is because I have a camera rolling. And their waterer is empty too, so we'll grab this on our way out the door. So these frost freezers are invaluable. Not only will they stay running the entire winter when everything's frozen out here so I can still get water out to the animals, but they do allow a lot more water. This is a much thicker pipe than you would have standard going to an outlet on your house. So you don't get quite as much water out of the house outlet as you do this one. So these are really handy, especially if you got to feed a lot of animals or water a lot of animals. You get a really quick fill here. And yes, we could use larger waterers. We wouldn't have to fill them quite as often. I have tried using a 3-gallon waterer, and it is nice to be able to fill it up once every 2 days or so. But that extra weight of the water is really hard on the plastic where the handle attaches to it. And eventually it just broke off while I was walking uphill one day. So we've stuck with the 1-gallon waterers. They tend to hold up a little bit better, but that does mean I have to fill it a couple of times a day. Hey, Grandma. There you go, Fuzzies. Y'all want some salad? All right, I'll get you some. There you go. They love grass, but they really hate being on camera. So the Silkies enjoy the grass as much as the big chickens do, but they don't get out on pasture very often. They're stuck inside this run. So they do love getting just a handful of weeds at the end of the day. They'll pick through that and they'll eat it all up. They love the grass. They love the creeping Charlie, the lady's finger, all of it. Sometimes I think they enjoy that more than the feed that we put in. Then once we have them fed, it's time to check for eggs. We never have managed to build a egg-laying box system that made sense in this coop. And we found that the milk crates tend to work just fine. So we got plenty of eggs in here this evening. Just grab our basket and we'll get these things cleaned out of here. So the Silkies aren't quite so easy. They don't like using nesting boxes. They like laying their eggs as far away from us as they can. And so we have to come in here at night and fish the eggs out. Luckily they don't build huge nests around the eggs, so it's usually easy enough to get them out of here. Just roll them to the front of the coop. So even though we're in the process of moving, that's still a typical evening here on the Return Homestead. We've always got chores that need to be done. I've still got to go through the garden and look for any peppers or other fruit that may still be out here. The garden's pretty much played out. We didn't get to spend a lot of time in it this year. We did get a harvest, but it was nothing like what we expected. That's not necessarily a bad thing because we are in the process of moving, and having a lot of food to process right now into the pantry would not be a good thing. In fact, we've packed most of everything we need in order to put things in the pantry. So we're down to just picking whatever's left in the garden. We'll eat that stuff fresh and we'll continue to enjoy it while we're here. Hopefully by the end of next week, we will have made this transition and we'll definitely tell you a lot more of the story. It's been quite a saga getting this place sold. There has been more interesting things that have happened than we can shake a stick at. Ever since we made the decision to sell, things have kind of gone haywire, and it has continued throughout the entire process so far. Things have finally started to level out a little bit. Marty and I are going to sit down probably over this weekend and just put a timeline together, try to clue you in on some of the things that we've had to deal with in case you decide you want to make your move. Maybe it's time for you to return to the land, return to labor, and return to life. And it's going to require you making a sale and a purchase of some land. So I want to give you all of the ins and outs, the things that we've experienced, allow you to learn from our tragedies, and there have been quite a few of them in this process, but we're overcoming them and we're almost getting to the finish line. We're really on the downward slope here. So watch for that video coming up. Marty and I are going to give you all the details of everything that's happened so far. But for tonight, I think we've come to the end of what we needed to get done, which was really just take care of these chickens, make sure that they're fed and watered for the day, and of course collect our eggs. We're going to need those for dinner. We do appreciate you joining us on the Return Homestead today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please take a moment to do that. And while you've got that window open, if you wouldn't mind, hit that thumbs up icon. That's going to let the algorithm know you enjoyed the video, and they'll share it out with more people. And we'll see you next time.